After all this speculation of Terence Crawford going to 154, it seems like more than likely Terence Crawford will be going to 160 pounds to fight Chris Eubank Jr. in Saudi Arabia or in the United States. I thought the next move for Crawford would be 154, but for some reason, it's not going to happen. So he's moving to 160 and trying to get acclimated to the weight. This tells us Terence Crawford is still hunting for the Canelo fight, and maybe he knows something we don't know. But what I do know is this: Chris Eubank is the number one contender for the WBO title. Who holds that title? Janabek Alimhanallah. So if Bud Crawford beats Chris Eubank Jr., he becomes the number one contender for Janabek Alimhanallah's WBO title. And actually, Janabek is a unified champion at middleweight. Now, I'm not saying Crawford will take the fight with Janabek, but he will have that option if he beats Chris Eubank Jr. I think Crawford is going to gauge how he looks against Chris Eubank Jr. If he looks phenomenal and has the punching power, maybe he'll take a stab at Janabek. But we know this move is for Canelo Alvarez. The reason he wants to fight Canelo Alvarez over any other super middleweight is because the measurements. I mean, him and Canelo are the same height, right? Crawford has longer arms, and Canelo has the bigger build. I mean, it's different fighting Canelo than fighting a David Benavidez, who is a cruiserweight, and Canelo is a small super middleweight. But if Bud Crawford was able to move to 160, beat a Chris Eubank Jr., then against all odds, fight the middleweight king, Janabek, and defeat him, maybe then I would believe the Crawford and Canelo fight is a valid fight to have. Until then, he is still Bud Crawford, 147-pound king, until I see him at 160.
Quite special because he stopped me. He did what Tyson Fury couldn't done, you know. And you know, he wasn't my day, and he's just way better than me today. So
before you say what's the big deal, AJ beat an MMA fighter. 45,000 people voted, and they thought Francis Ngannou was gonna beat AJ. And some of those people were boxing content creators, very knowledgeable in boxing, guys I respect in a YouTube game. Still thought Francis Ngannou, with one professional fight, would beat AJ. And I've been on record on my last video, my prediction video, I predicted AJ would knock this guy out. No chance of him losing. I said if he loses, AJ should retire. Going into this fight, people thought Francis Ngannou was indestructible. This guy could not be hurt. AJ could not hurt him, could not knock him out. And what did AJ do? Over a lazy jab from Ngannou, AJ kept smashing him with the right hand. Francis Ngannou was so afraid of that right hand, he fought for the feints, and AJ landed the boom on that last right hand, folded him like a lawn chair. Now remember, this is a guy in an octagon that's never been hurt, never been taken out. And AJ does it just like that in 2 rounds. Easy work. And Ngannou looked so disappointed, looked very shocked, looked very surprised. How can he do this to me in 2 rounds? This has never been done to me. And again, the people are saying, well, what's the big deal? AJ beat a UFC fighter, an MMA fighter. What's the big deal? Those are the same people and content creators that picked against AJ. Now they're trying to move the goalposts and say it's not a big deal. Fury left that door open for MMA fighters to come to boxing and take on the best fighters. You know, Jake Paul, not in the UFC, but he's calling out Canelo. You got Sean O'Malley calling out Tank Davis. And Francis Ngannou went in here very confident, says, I'm going to test AJ's chin. And what happened? He got his chin tested. It's so funny. You know, a lot of people in boxing say they're objective, but they're not. They picked Wallin to beat AJ, and then they pick Ngannou to beat AJ. Then after the fight, they make excuses why AJ destroyed these cats. He stops Wallin in 5, and he destroys and folds up Francis Ngannou. The UFC king that was made of metal was shattered. Even Francis Ngannou said, he did something to me that Tyson Fury couldn't do. He stretched me out. Joshua destroys Ngannou in 2. Terence Crawford moved to 160. Leave your thoughts and comments below. Jay Beezy, I'm gone.